Hey everyone, welcome back. Season 3, Episode 1. We're getting ready to finish this off season with the 2022 NFL Draft. Before we do that, I want to update you on a few things. First off, I followed through with franchise tagging Myles Garrett, so he will be with the team this year. Hopefully, we work out a long-term deal with him. Cameron Scandrick, a wide receiver who was a rookie last year, but we brought him in off of a practice squad about the middle of the year. I feel like he has a lot of potential. Maybe not to be a number one or even number two, but to be a really solid number 3 wide receiver. So I went ahead and offered him a contract, and I got him for 7 years, $24.5 million. Now, that seems like a lot to offer someone who's only their second year or going into their second year in the league. But like I said, this guy has a lot of physical tools. He's a really good receiver, and with some development, he's going to be a solid receiver. So if we can get solid production out of that number 3 spot, I think it'll be worth every dollar we're spending. As far as free agent signings, most of the free agent signings went towards improving our offensive line. We had a really good draft last year, and our rookies performed really well. There's one rookie that I completely forgot to mention because I forgot we drafted a guy on the offensive line. But our center was actually a rookie last year, and he's developing into a really good offensive lineman. I do hope to get at least another offensive lineman, maybe 2 in this draft if I can. That's high quality. However, I wanted to be sure. So I went out and I signed left guard Laken Tomlinson, 1-year contract, $5 million. Right tackle Rick Wagner, 1 year, $3.5 million. Right guard Ron Leary. If you remember, he was with us in the first season. Gave him a 1-year, $5 million contract. And then at left tackle, I signed Russell Okung, 1 year, $6 million. So we have an offensive line this year. Maybe not an all-pro offensive line, but we have a solid offensive line this year that should open up a lot of opportunities for Nick Chubb. We don't have a quarterback this year, so I'm hoping to find one in the draft. Phillip Rivers didn't retire. However, it's clear that he's taking a massive step backwards. So I didn't feel like it was worth bringing him back for another year. So we're going to have to go through the draft, see if we could pick up a good young quarterback. If not, we'll just have to see what's available during free agency. Now, I know in real life that would be the worst decision ever. However, right now, I'm just trying to see what the best option we can do, or we can go with is. If you remember, I did sign a defensive tackle to almost a league minimum contract last year for depth. I went ahead and signed another defensive tackle, a really good defensive tackle actually that surprisingly we got for cheap. So I signed him 7 years, $10.5 million a year. So it's a little over. I think it's like ended up being $1.5 million a year or something like that. But fairly cheap considering he's a solid number 3 defensive tackle. And actually, he could almost start. So if for whatever chance one of our defensive tackles goes down, we're not losing anything when he has to step in. And I got him at a price that I'm not clearing the bank out in order to have him on the team. So it worked out for the best. I also signed a backup tight end, Dalton Schultz. The defensive tackle, by the way, is DJ Jones. Tight end Dalton Schultz, he's going to be our backup tight end. I signed him for 4 years, $4 million. He's a blocking tight end, which is going to help us a lot because he can catch passes. He can be a receiver. He has those skills. However, he specializes in blocking, which when the second tight end is on the field, it's usually to load up the offensive line to help give an extra blocker. So we're going to get a lot of value out of him. I also signed left end Josh Sweet, 7 years, $7 million. He's going to be a backup defensive end. Yes, primarily at left end. However, he'll probably be that third defensive end. So if whatever happens to either left or right end, he'll be that first person to fill in. And then finally, we were a little weak at cornerback. We still have King, but we didn't have a good second cornerback because Aqib Talib retired. and the other guy that we had, he was taking a step backwards, so I went ahead and cut him loose. So I brought in cornerback Travarius Ward, 4 years, $13.8 million. I gave him a chunk of time on the team to give us a chance to maybe find that other cornerback. And if we don't find a cornerback, then I don't have to waste a lot of resources trying to fill that second spot. I can focus on building up the offense, which, as we're going into our third year, it's time to go ahead and start building up that offense. Our defense is getting to a point where it can hold its own, but it's not going to win us a championship if we don't put a good offense on the field. No other changes, however. We still have Austin Ekeler on our roster. He is a really good running back, primarily receiving back. However, him being on the team is taking opportunities away from Nick Chubb, and Nick Chubb, when he touches the ball, does nothing but good things. Whereas Austin Ekeler, often, when he's running the ball, it doesn't go anywhere, and it makes our offense take a step back. So as much as I would like to have a quality receiving back as that second back, I don't want someone who's going to take touches away from Nick Chubb. So here in the NFL draft, I might look to move Ekeler if there's someone that I think I can pick up, and I can get a good value in return for Ekeler. So with that said, I have my draft board set up. I have 107 players on my draft board, ranked not necessarily 1 to 107. However, most of them are in a spot where I can just take a look at that, whatever is at the top, and see like the top maybe 5 players and say, okay, one of these guys are probably going to be the one that I choose. So hopefully we have as good of a draft as we did last year. So without any further ado, the 2022 NFL Draft is starting now.
The Dolphins are now on the clock.
So, shout out real quick to my friend, well, maybe not friend, but to my fellow Madden streamer, Prince. I'll put a link in in my descriptions video to his channel. He's doing the Dolphins in his franchise mode, so check that out. So it looks like Dolphins went with defensive tackle as the number 1 pick. Hopefully he helps, but given that overall they're showing, looks like they probably could have picked better.
Are now on the clock.
The Broncos with the free safety, so defense, first 2 picks. As you can see, we got our first pick coming up, pick 9. We'll take a look here and see what's coming up. So you can see Terrence Smith, Max Crisp, and Sherrod Drummond are kind of the top ones on my list. Now, Sherrod Drummond, he's listed at right end, but I'm going to play him at linebacker if I draft him. And it looks like Sherrod's probably going to be the first one of that group taken. But Terrence Smith, I think, is going to be my top choice if he's available. As we look at our needs here, middle linebackers, that worst grade. Even though Drew Tranquil's been doing a really good job, I really do want to start shoring up our linebacker spot. Looks like the 49ers went defensive as well. And the Raiders took a wide receiver. So at least one offensive player off the board. I didn't see who took the 3rd pick, unfortunately.
The Packers are now on the clock.
A lot of people going defense. And I think as you watch our team play and see how we're doing, we don't have a good offense, but we have a good defense. So defense is very important. Not only it doesn't get enough credit in real life, but in real life and in this game, defense is very important. Doesn't matter how good your offense is. You can put up 40, 50 points a game. That doesn't mean you're going to win a lot of games or a championship. All right, it's almost time for our first pick here. And it looks like Sherrod Drummond went off. He'll be a good right end, but I would have liked him as a linebacker. And time for our first pick of the first round. I believe I have 3 or 4 picks. So Terrence Smith is still available. He's the highest rated on my draft board, so I think I'd be a fool if I didn't take him.
The Panthers are now on the clock.
Looking like he's going to be pretty good. You know, in past Maddens, that pose that he took means he's a superstar potential, and when it's a hidden dev trait, it usually means it's probably going to be a superstar or X factor. So we'll have to see. Either way, it says 20th overall, and we got him at 9th. So we reached. I don't feel like I reached. I feel like I'm going to get a lot out of him. We still have another 7 picks until our next pick. Still looks like a lot of defense is going off the board here. Although most of it looks like it's on the defensive line. I don't think I've seen any linebackers taken other than Smith that we just took. There's been a safety or two and then a cornerback, but most of it's been that defensive line.
The Cardinals are now on the clock.
As we wait for our next pick, I do have to say obviously our biggest need is quarterback. We really need a quarterback. However, this is another weak year for quarterbacks.
The Steelers are now on the clock.
A second wide receiver would be very beneficial. As I said, I re-signed Cameron Scandrick to be our third wide receiver. However, right now, if we don't get another wide receiver, he's our number 2. So we have that spot to take a receiver to be our number 2 wideout. If I can find a guy that will fill that properly. We have an offensive line for this year. However, moving forward, we're going to want offensive linemen that are going to be here more than 1 year. So if I can find a good offensive lineman, then that'll be a need as well. On defense, I took a middle linebacker. He's the guy that I'm going to commit to at middle linebacker. Wow, that was a good cornerback, a 77. Probably going to be the best player in the draft. So we still need a left and right outer linebacker. Kaiser White is at right outer linebacker. He's been doing well, but if we could find a guy that's going to do better and be more dominant in our defense, we got to take them. We can't just settle with, he's been doing an okay job. So here in a little bit, it looks like we got actually 2 picks in a row coming up, followed by another one after even just a couple more picks. So should be fun. Let's see what's available. All right, so right now Dominic Ward's sitting at the top of my draft board, and I did say that we need a wide receiver. 6'5" guy. Love tall receivers. He's the strongest, and he has the highest jump. I got to take him. I know he's listed as a deep threat, but this reminds me of those red zone threats, the Randy Mosses that'll go up above everyone. So, Dominic Ward, welcome to Oklahoma City.
The Oklahoma City Nighthawks are now on the clock.
Okay. Let's see what else we can get here. Now, right outer linebacker and a left outer linebacker. Like I said before, we need both. However, there's also a lineman here. Let's take a look at him. So he's got speed and he's got acceleration. Not bad at agility, and maybe around average for strength. There was a linebacker that I really wanted who one of his top attributes was awareness. I really think he would have been good, but I don't see him on here anymore. Kevin Monroe, really good physical skills, maybe average speed, but the rest of his physical skills are good. I'm going to take Kevin Monroe.
Are now on the clock.
Okay, so I started to run out of time there, had to make his decision, and it looks like I made a pretty decent one. We don't have many picks until our next one, so I might have an interesting choice to make again. unless if
The
one of the other teams
Bills
makes it
are
for
now
me
on the clock.
by taking a guy that we targeted. All right, we're about to be on the clock again.
The Oklahoma City Nighthawks are now on the clock.
All right. Both of those players are still available. And actually, this guy's available too. Strong, has some speed. Good tackler, which I'm big on being able to make the tackle. See, this guy's a pass rusher. We need more of a run stopper. However, it also wouldn't hurt to have what I think is going to be a really good defense or offensive lineman. And actually, I'd probably switch him to tackle to be a pass blocker. I got to take him. We got to shore up that line if I can get a good guy for the future. As much as I wanted that other linebacker, we'll have to just hope he's available when our next pick comes around. So that guy ended up being okay. Maybe we did reach a little bit for him. However, I think he's going to be a quality offensive lineman for us. And with picking him, we now have two young, quality offensive linemen. And going into this next year, we will have a quality line, but hopefully moving forward, we'll continue to build up that line so that it's a strength and not a weakness.
The Jaguars are now on the clock.
Again, a lot of defensive linemen. In this draft, as I was doing my scouting, there was a lot of defensive linemen that were rated pretty highly and with good skills. So I'm not surprised to see how many of them are coming off the board. However, it would be nice to have options for other positions. Jaguars took a right tackle, and it looks like if anybody reached in this draft, it was them, because just a couple picks before, we got a 72, they chose a 62. So either they seen something that nobody else does, or their scouting is not good. And I'm going to go with not good because left tackle just went off the board at 71 overall. So like the year before, when we get to the second round, I'm going to go ahead and do skip to user pick. However, to avoid a situation like I had at the end of last year's draft, I am going to pause the draft because sometimes that short amount of time they give you just isn't enough. And last year they picked a punter when we probably could have picked someone we would have needed. And Barry Jackson just went off the board. I think that's one of the guys that was high up on my board, on my draft board. So it looks like we missed out on a good one.
The Lions are now on the clock.
And, last year when we looked at the top 24 players, we selected 8 of the top 24. If we can have another year like that, all that does is just keep stacking our team with talent. And even if right now they're not the best players in the league, you have to figure a couple years from now, when all the rookies are becoming the veterans, we're going to have the top veterans in the league. And so building our team through the draft is vital. We don't have to waste a lot of money on free agency overpaying to get someone to come in. We get to choose guys that we feel best fit our system, and we get to develop them. So even though it keeps saying that we've reached, I think we're still choosing quality players that we can continue to build this team around. And this is the last pick of the first round, so it's now time to go ahead and pause the draft and skip ahead. And actually, I'm going to take a look, see what's available, because I was really high on Sean Price. However, we didn't really need a running back. Now, he's slated to go in the 4th round, but as you can see, he's a first-round talent. I could probably wait till the third round to get him. But I think at some point in the second round, I might go ahead and trade away Austin Eichler and try to pick up Sean Price if he's still available. Does look like there's still a few good players available. However, it's halfbacks, defensive line, and this cornerback, which we could probably use the cornerback. He's an early first round talent, slated for the second round. So you know what? I'm going to take a gamble. I'm going to try to make a deal with the Miami Dolphins to send Austin Eichler to the Dolphins in exchange for this pick. Might try to get a little bit more for Eichler, though. I mean, he's good. Let's go with this pick. Next year's second. Not interested. How does their halfback situation look? He'd be their starter. Let's go ahead and wait. We'll see if we can find someone who actually values. There goes that. Never mind. There goes the cornerback I wanted, actually. Yep. And he was a 77. We missed out. I should have probably made that deal and just kind of bit the bullet on it. You know, that's all right. We have a second cornerback, so we'll be okay. Let's just go ahead and go to our next user pick.
The Oklahoma City Nighthawks are now on the clock.
All right. On the draft board, who's available? Price is still available. Like I said, he's probably still going to be available for a while. We're golden at defensive tackle. Free safety we're fine at. I could take this right tackle. Or I could take the right outer linebacker. Let's take a look at their stats here. Okay, so he's agile and quick acceleration. He has good strength, but obviously there's 30 other right tackles stronger than him. So even though 31 is pretty good, 31 reps is pretty good, he's maybe not the strongest. This guy, ooh. You know what? I think we're going to take Enrique Macklin.
The Bears are now on the clock.
Okay, 71. It's not great, but it's not terrible either. However, I think he'll develop into something good. All right, our next pick is pick 19. I don't think I'm going to mess around. I think I might go ahead and take Sean Price. He's still available.
The Oklahoma City Nighthawks are now on the clock.
Okay. Let's go ahead and take him. And then
are now on the clock.
We're going to go ahead and send away Austin Eichler. So the Titans, whoops, not resume. And Titans don't want him. Does anybody want him? Okay, looks like the Buccaneers and Cardinals. And yeah, we're not sending them to the Chiefs. How about the Cardinals? We'll send them to the other league. When do they have a pick coming up? Not till the third round. Oops. Okay, so the 56. That's the end of towards the end of the second round. I mean, I don't think we're that far from that because we're at 19th of 32 right now. So, can we get maybe a 2 in next year's 3? All right, I'll go ahead and settle for just the 2. All right, so we picked up the Buccaneers' second round pick. Gives us an extra pick coming up, and it looks like it's only about 5 picks away.
The Oklahoma City Nighthawks
are now
on the clock.
There is a quarterback that you know what I thought he was. Thought there was one that was rated for the rated for the 3rd round. He must have either gotten selected or I was mistaken. I'm not reaching on him. I'll go ahead and wait. We do need a quarterback, though. So let's see what's available. That right tackle is available still. Couple good wide receivers. However, we have our top 3. So let's see. I don't know why this guy's on my draft board. Get out of here. Yeah, you know what? That right tackle looks like the best one on the board for me right now, so I'm going to go ahead and take him.
The Jaguars are now on the clock.
Okay, he's a 69, hidden draft pick, or hidden talent, or potential though, so he could possibly be something good for us in the future. If he is, then that means that we're at 3 good young linemen. Alright, next pick is in the 3rd round.
The Oklahoma City Nighthawks are now on the clock.
Okay, so those wide receivers are still available. Again, I don't think we really need one though. Could pick up a cornerback. He's got some speed, but he's kind of weak. I don't know what good the broad jump is. I mean, I know vert jump means his ability to, jump up and contest, but I don't understand why the distance jump matters. He's not very quick, like acceleration quick. Because correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but 3 cone I believe is agility, and 20-yard shuttle I believe is acceleration. Which in that case means that he's pretty slow in terms of cornerbacks. And I'm not that impressed with his abilities, so I'm not interested in drafting him right now. As we get further down this list, you know what? We need a quarterback, and there's not anybody else that's really jumping out at me. So let's go ahead and take Dom Matthews and hope that he can be our quarterback this year.
The Bears are now on the clock.
67, that's a little rough. Might still end up being our quarterback, though.
The Oklahoma City Nighthawks are now on the clock.
All right, let's take a look at these guys here. So he has good catching ability. However, he's not very quick, not very agile, not very strong. He's got maybe average speed. Also, not that sure how good his route running is. So even though he can catch the ball, I'm not sure how often he's going to be open. About Niles Bush. Again, another guy that's good at catching the ball, but someone whose physical abilities doesn't really separate him from everyone else. And again, if he doesn't have good route running ability, he's just not going to be open. We're good on tight end, good on halfback. We're good on defensive tackle and any kind of defensive lineman. All right, this guy can jump for the ball at least. I am just not seeing anybody, and I drafted linebackers already. I think I might go ahead and trade out of this pick. Let's see what's being offered. I could go and fleece a team for picks, but I'm gonna go ahead and just take a look at what's offered and accept one of these. Let's see, 19th. So I think we're at about pick 85 right now in this draft. I don't want to just trade down a couple rounds or a couple picks and not get anything in return. I could trade down a little bit and get a 7th. I'd preferably like to just get something for next year, though. So it's looking like maybe the 49ers or the New England here. Yeah. Let's go ahead and take the offer from New England. We'll pick up an extra 7th round this year, and we'll have another 3rd round pick for next year.
Well, wait, looks like both war rooms are feverishly back on the phones. I think that means a trade is coming.
All right, so all the way to the 5th round, because we didn't have a 4th round pick this year. Let's see what's available. It's been a long time since we picked. Got a bunch of wide receivers. I don't want to pick anyone that's slated later than what we're picking right now. Could pick up this guy as a backup. Of course, we already picked up another guy to replace Austin Eikler. I know for sure that we have four quality wide receivers on our roster. I don't think we really, like, it says 8, but that's because I haven't cut anyone that we signed from the practice squad last year. I don't want to pick up another wide receiver, which means the best one on the board would be Tremaine Cooper, which would probably be our 3rd running back on the depth chart. But it is the 5th round, so maybe picking up someone who's slotted for 3rd spot wouldn't be bad. So let's go ahead and take Tremaine Cooper.
The Titans are now on the clock.
Okay. So we got him maybe about where he should have gone. I wouldn't expect any long-term future plans for him other than just being a guy on the roster.
The Oklahoma City Nighthawks.
And this is our last pick of the draft. Nobody left on my draft board. I do still have a couple people scouted. However, they weren't on my draft board for a reason. So let's take a while. Actually, you know what? We could probably get more value out of this pick just by trading it away. I bet we at least get a 6th round for next year. Yeah, see, I'll take Tennessee's 6th round pick next year.
Hold on now. This pick is trading.
All right, so our draft is over. Let's take a look, see how we did. Of course, this is one of the few times that I actually show the overalls of my players. I like to make it so that you don't look at a team and be like, oh, this is their overall, so they're this good. I want you guys to maybe judge our players based off the production that they make, not the overall that they have, which I think makes it more fun. However, during the draft here, it's a good chance to see their starting overall, so we can see how we did, and then as we follow their career, see if they develop. So, draft recap. Take a look at our guys first. So we have a slew of guys in the 70s for overall, which is excellent. 1, 2, 3. We have 6 guys that are in the 70s. Now, granted, most of those were higher picks, and we do have a 2nd round pick that fell into the upper 60s. However, as I've said before, I think he might actually be pretty decent, all things considered. Now let's compare our draft among the rest of the league here. And I'll go down as far as the guy that was 71 overall. So I'm going to count down, see how many guys, how many picks down that guy is from the top. All right. Oh, that's not our guy. Okay, here he is. So he is the 43rd best player in this year's draft. So out of the top 43, we had what? Best. Of the top 43, you had the best 6, or 6 of the best 43. Not bad. Again, as time goes on, those 6 are going to be a huge advantage for us over the other teams that have only had, 1 or 2 of the top 43. So pretty decent. Now, let's check out these 74s, see where they ranked among the top talent. Okay, so our best guy was the 15th best. And actually, if you remember, this guy was actually slated to go in the 4th round. And we reached for him, picked him up in the 2nd round, but he still ended up being a top 15 player. So pretty good scouting on by our scouting department. So 16th best, 18th best. Yeah, so I mean, out of the top 20, we had 3 guys, so that's not bad. Now, this was a really deep draft here as far as high-end talent. I think last year we've seen a couple 75s, maybe a 76, but we didn't see anything like this. So it was a good draft. Spencer Jordan ended up being the 3rd best guy in the draft this year, and I wanted him, but just didn't pull the trigger. So we lost value on that. That's on me. Should have went ahead and pulled the trigger. I do not want a scrambler quarterback, but this guy ended up being quality. It's going to be probably much better than what we have. So I hope next year there's a good field general or strong arm quarterback, someone who's more of a pocket passer, can break down a defense, because that's what I'm looking for. So I'm hoping next year we can find that. For this year, we might have to settle with someone who is not that good. We haven't had good quarterbacks the last couple years, but they've been veterans, and their veteran knowledge has been able to make decisions and plays that I don't think rookies can make. So we'll have to see what happens. So anyway, that was the 2022 NFL Draft. This is Season 3, Episode 1. I'm looking forward to a good year. I'm excited to see how our players develop, and I think next year we can really count on our team to start. Not this coming year, next year we can really count on our team to start competing. So with that said, thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.